The song is really catchy. It works. It hits all the right buttons. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. For those of you that are new here, my name is Jacob Williams. I'm a professional music producer and composer. Normally we do reaction content on here. Normally I check out music I haven't heard before and I'll kind of break down some of the production and arrangement methods that are used in the song and kind of what's making it pop, what's making it catchy, etc. Like I try to get in the headspace of the artist or the producer making the music, and I sort of put myself in their shoes, or I just give out exclamatory reactions to what the music is making me feel. I wanted to start making something a little more easy to digest, a bit more of a dissection type of segment where we go over songs that I already know, I've listened to probably a lot, and I could tell you a lot about them. And today we're going to start somewhere that's maybe close to home to some of you that have been watching me for a while. We're going to start with the song Team by Lorde. This is one of my personal favorite songs from Lorde. It's one of the ones that got me into her music. And I was sold on Royals, but what really sold me on Lorde's ability as a songwriter and on just the versatility that she has as an artist was Team. That was one of the songs that really drew me to her music. Same with Glory and Gore. I heard that in I think a video game trailer. I think it was a little bit after that album came out, or it was around the time the Xbox One got announced. I don't know. That's irrelevant. But that was kind of my whole experience and what kind of got me into her music in the first place. So I figured I'd start here because this is a song I've listened to a lot, and I know you all want me to sort of react to Pure Heroine. So this is a good way to kind of lean into that. And this is, I think, the third single that was released from that album. Let's go ahead and dive right in. The song is in the key of F sharp major, which isn't a key that I don't even use that often. I think it's not one of the most used major chord progressions, especially for pop music. Usually pop music tends to go with either C major, F major, D major, and everyone uses them for different reasons, but F sharp major I think is one of the more rare ones if I'm not mistaken. And the chord progression goes F sharp, B, C sharp. So it's kind of like a 1-4-5 chord progression. That's usually considered the pop chord progression, or sometimes the pop punk chord progression because of its simplicity and it only using 3 chords. This is a chord progression that you're going to hear in a lot of especially top 40 pop music. It's very effective because it's all major chords. There's no minors, so there's nothing to really resolve. It's just kind of a jam all the way through. You start at tonic at the 1, you move on to 4, and then you move on to 5, and then you go back to 1. It's very effective, very simple, and it's easy to play on pretty much every instrument. I'll play it right now. As you can hear, you've probably heard the vibe of that in a lot of music that you've listened to. It's because it's a very popular chord progression. Now, the things that make Team, in my opinion, unique and what makes it kind of stand out are the 2 main melodic hooks that you hear in the chorus. The first one sounds like this. This is the melody that sort of hooked me in and made me go, wow, that's such a beautiful melody. And Lorde sings it primarily with the lead vocal track, with the other vocals sort of following right under in unison. And there might be some fifths in there as well. Everything's kind of singing this little kind of melody. It's at the tonic. It moves up to C sharp, which is the dominant note. Then it goes down to the minor third, which is A sharp. What this does is it kind of creates some sort of tension, just a little bit, not a lot, not any like dissonance or anything, but it causes just a little bit of tension waiting to be resolved by the rest of the melody. Second melodic hook is the one kind of towards the end of the chorus. I think it might be the last melody in the chorus, where it sort of does this. I'm going to play it first. It goes between the leading tone and the tonic. Now, what that does is that creates direct tension, and that makes it so that you're kind of feeling like you're bobbing and weaving with the melody. It's not going too wide. It's sort of starting wide with the first hook that we just talked about, and then it goes a little more narrow and sort of sums up the melody and ties it up in a nice little bow. A lot of songs do this, where it uses the leading tone to resolve back to the first scale degree of the scale that the song is using. In terms of production, from what I was reading, this song, as well as all of Pure Heroine, was produced entirely by Joel Little and Lorde herself. The whole album, as well as this song, feels very well packaged. It feels like it's sort of made in pretty much almost the same session, or it feels like a live set in a way. The main characteristic that I noticed even upon listening to it again is there's these booming sort of 80s synth pop revival drums that you could also hear on albums like Taylor Swift's 1989
Visions
by Grimes, as well as Born to Die by Lana Del Rey. Drums like these are pretty much a callback to a lot of 80s pop tunes that people are familiar with, and around the 2010s, this is when synth pop started coming back into the fold, best represented by bands of that age like Churches. The song also focuses on keeping the sounds minimal in the verses. That way the vocal can kind of take the center stage before blowing them up, even still using just a couple of layers. I think there's only like 4 or 5 layers even per bus or per section, but it really only uses a handful of them even in the chorus. The synths just get wider to sort of accompany this bigger arrangement, and that's to make the choruses feel fuller even if they're only using the same instruments or musicians in the verses. One of my personal favorite things in this song is the post-chorus. The post-chorus is very short and almost kind of acts like it could be a bridge or it could be a secondary chorus just coming in right before the verses.
I'm kinda over getting told to throw my hands up in the air.
As for the rhythm and the overall tempo of the song, the speed sits at about 100 BPM. And what's great about that tempo is it's not quite mid-tempo yet. It's still kind of in the slow, almost hip-hop tempo. And this BPM kind of allows, especially based on how the drums are being played, the song sits at about 100 BPM, which makes it sound good enough for a pop anthem. You can dance to it, and it's not too fast. Like, it's not meant for a DJ set or a rave or anything. Stuff like that's usually between like anywhere between 124 and 140 usually. So this is laid back enough so that it's good enough for radio, it's good for pop, but it's also like, it's got a pace to it. It keeps it going. I think why this song really connected and why it worked at the time and why it still continues to work is back in the 2010s, synth pop was coming back. It was making a resurgence. Artists were calling back to sounds of the 80s and making modern twists on them. But even nowadays, that's still happening. People are still finding ways to take the genre of synth pop and alternative pop and sort of blow it up and take it into different directions, which is why songs like this are considered a classic nowadays. It also had a bit of a laid-back indie and alternative energy to it, and bands like Foster the People were really relevant around this time, and that's probably why not just pop heads, even alternative kids were able to sort of get into the song and the style of music. I would say another thing that makes the song work isn't just the minimalist production work, but also the songwriting elements that Lorde brings into the fold, with talking about staying humble amidst a lavish culture based off of materialism and remembering the places that you came from. I think a lot of people can relate to that narrative, and that's also a reason why the song was successful. In short, the song is really catchy, it works, it hits all the right buttons, it uses the right chords, it keeps things simple, but it also makes you anticipate, okay, what's this artist going to come out with next? Where else can we take this sound? It's very expandable. A lot of the narrative aspects of the song, as well as some of the musical foundations, can also be heard in some of Lorde's later work, allowing this to sort of be something for fans of even her newer stuff to sort of come back to and see where Lorde's roots really were. It left everyone with a good impression of Lorde's musical ability as well as lyrical ability as a songwriter. I also think that the sound of this song doesn't really sound that dated. It could come out today from a new artist and still feel just as fresh. Thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one.